Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum students. Hope you all are fine and enjoying the best of your health. Okay student, as you know that in a previous lecture we have discussed the digestive process. As I told you that the digestive process is a complex process. So we have discussed some of its topic in the previous lecture. Today we will continue from the digestive process. Okay, first let me recall the definition of digestion. As you know, that digestion is the breaking down of large complex molecule into small and simpler molecule with the help of chemicals. So you know this whole digestive tube which starts from mouth and ends at anus. So this whole tube is 10 meters long. This whole tube is 10 meters long and is made up of muscle. So a long muscular tube with many sections in areas. It means that here this long tube have many sections like this part, this food pipe, it is known as esophagus or gullet. This part is known as stomach. This part is known as small intestine and this is the large intestine. So this long muscular tube have many sections in areas which begin with mouth and ends with anus. Clear? Then we have discussed in a previous lecture that the first part of digestive process is quick. If you remember, I have discussed about the mechanical digestion. So chewing the food into small pieces before it is swallowed. The food is mixed with the saliva, and you know saliva is a liquid which moist the food, which soft the food. And this saliva also contain enzyme. Which one enzyme? Amylase enzyme. So amylase enzyme starts to break down starch in the food into a type of soluble sugar called maltose. So this chew food is pushed down to the gullet or esophagus. Here, once the food is chewed with the help of teeth, tongue, and saliva soft the food, and it also contain enzyme. So when that enzyme act on the food and this food is chewed, so with the help of tongue this food is swallowed. Once this food entered into the esophagus, so by the contraction and relaxation of this esophagus muscle, the food reaches to the stomach. The food is pushed to the stomach. Now the food is stored in the stomach for few hours. Here the food is stored for few hours and the stomach can hold about 1.5 liters of food. The food is mixed with gastric juices which is made by the walls of the stomach. These walls of the stomach make gastric juices, and the gastric juices also contain hydrochloric acid, HCl, hydrochloric acid. Now what is the function of this hydrochloric acid? It kills most of the bacteria in the food. It also gives the best condition for enzyme like proteases to begin the breakdown of proteins in the food, and the food is turned around in the stomach up for 6 hours after a large meal. Then after that the food from the stomach moves to the small intestine. Here this is the small intestine at about 2.5 centimeter a minute. The small intestine is 7 meter long and 3 centimeter in diameter. Now if you remember, I told you there this whole tube is 10 meters long. 10 meters long. So now if we talk about these intestines, small intestine, so small intestine is 7 meter long and 3 centimeter in diameter. Clear? So it means that the remaining 3 centimeter is this esophagus, stomach, and the large 3 meter and the large intestine. Clear? And out of 10 meter, the 7 meter is the small intestine. Okay. So now here is the food is pushed through the stomach into small intestine. A little at a time bile is squeezed on it. Now bile is made by the liver. This is liver. This one is liver. So liver make the bile, and this bile is then stored in the gallbladder. This one is gallbladder. Near this liver, this is gallbladder. Clear? So bile is made by liver and is stored in the gallbladder. Once the food reaches the stomach, so this bile is secreted on the food. Now what is the function of bile? You know, bile emulsifies fats. It means that bile do the breakdown of fats. It breaks up fats. And another function of bile is that it alkaline to make the condition right for enzyme in the small intestine. Now if we talk about the walls of the small intestine here, so you know the walls of a small intestine here in this picture, in this diagram, you can see it contain a finger-like projections, and this finger-like projection is known as villi. It is known as villi, and the walls of the small intestine produce enzymes, and these enzymes digest carbohydrates, fats, proteins. Clear? And as I told you that this wall of the small intestine is covered with million of finger-like projection, and this finger-like projection is known as villi. Now what is the job of villi? What is the function of this villi? You know, this villi absorb the nutrients from the food, because you know they give the large surface area to the small intestine, and this villi is richly supplied with blood capillaries. Clear? So here, with the help of these villi, this finger-like structure, the nutrients are absorbed from the food. Okay. Now here this is the diagram of villi. See, you can see the finger-like projection, and it is richly supplied with blood capillaries. These are blood capillaries. So the food is absorbed by the absorptive cells, and that food, that nutrient mix here in the blood, in the blood capillaries. Clear? Okay, now the villi, it contain what? These small intestine contain villi, which contain absorptive cells, blood capillaries, and the food is mixed in the blood. Now here, which type of food is absorbed in the small intestine? So you know, water is absorbed along the length of the small intestine, and the end product of digestion, it means that the glucose, amino acid, fatty acid, and glycerol, these smaller units, these small molecules, they are absorbed by the small intestine, and most substances are absorbed by active transport through the cell membrane. As you know that the first layer of the cell in animal cell is a cell membrane, so it is, these nutrients are absorbed through the cell membrane, and lipids are absorbed by diffusion, You know what is diffusion? It is the movement of the molecule from the region of a higher concentration to the region of lower concentration. And then next, substances are transported to the liver by hepatic portal vein or lymph. You know these substances, these nutrients along with the blood, it is transported where? To the liver. By which one vein? By hepatic portal vein. Okay, students, so we have discussed the mechanical digestion, the chemical digestion, the absorption of nutrients in the small intestine. Inshallah, in next lecture, we will continue from the large intestine. Take care. Allah Hafiz.